What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. What's up? What's up? I'm sorry we're having a few little technical difficulties right there for a moment. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and welcome to another great episode of The All Around. So we have some interesting topics that we're going to be discussing today, primarily about the election and some other things that I would like to get in there. I wanted to, revert back to some other stuff, but we had some breaking news on yesterday and over the weekend. So we will discuss that first. And if I get an opportunity to revert back to the things that we discussed on last Monday and did not finish, we will end the show with discussing those things. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out my producer, the wonderful, the great Mark Lee.
How are you doing, beautiful lady? Glad to be here with you. Glad to have these conversations and all along those lines. Because, like you said, some amazing things happened during the weekend, and we definitely saw some folks that were taking shots at the former president. And it looks like it was a young gentleman that fired the shot. It was a young 20-year-old, and of course, there were some people. I was even at a food truck rodeo where the person was saying that they couldn't figure out. How come they missed at that kind of distance? Because apparently this young lady, who was a sister, had fired guns in the past and all along those lines. So she had some questions and was even asking the question as to whether it was staged or real or what exactly transpired. So, we're going to have some people that got some conspiracy theories and all along those lines, and we'll see what reality says and all along those lines. So it ought to be interesting to hear what your folks have to say and what other folks have to say as well. And I know we got a video of the actual shooting, and we're get into other parts of the conversation. I'm just going to share two things with you really quickly. One is a statement, the other is a question. One is, because you always ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing well because I actually went on Saturday, the day of that shooting, to Mom's house in Rocky Mount. I think I was traveling back and had learned about it after I got back home. But my mom has a relative, a cousin that is visiting from her mother's side of the family, so my grandmother's side of the family. So as she put it, we were getting the Evans people together. So we had about 33 relatives there, one from as far away as Tucson, Arizona. The cousin that's staying with Mom that's from Flint, Michigan, and we had some others that were visiting as well. So lots of good eating, because you can't get together good family gathering, particularly in our community, without some good food and some good conversation. So we were laughing, remembering past, and just having a good old time. So it was a very short visit, but it's still a very fun visit. I think me and my aunt got there, because she came pick me up from here at the Haychild. So we probably got there around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we were there till about 9 or something like that. But just those 5 hours was good times. And like I said, I'm still recovering from all that good food, because it was definitely some good eating. And Mom, of course, sent the leftovers back as well. So had a good time enjoying that delicious food, and of course, that delicious company, and even saw some cousins that I haven't seen in a while. And as Mom put it, and I know you can relate to this, too often we get to see our families at sad times, like funerals and stuff like that. So it's always good when you can actually see them, and it's not for a sad reason. Y'all are just getting together because y'all want to get together and spend that quality family time together. And I'm gonna have to send you some pictures, because I hate to tell you this, Dr. Anthony, but as I was looking at my family, one, I got some very beautiful members of the family and some very classy members, and all along those lines. And even because Mom has got an open door policy, so even as a friend, you would definitely fit in coming in and visiting. So if you or any of your folks want to come and visit, y'all have a open door to the Lee home in Rocky Mount, which is Mom's home, because she's got that open door policy. And yeah, you would fit in. Like I'll show you some of the pictures. You'd be like, you sure that you're all related? Because your family and my family probably could have some similar facial structures and all along those lines. So you might fit in the family quite well and all in that space. But I do have to share one quick story. We were doing a recording of one of our shows here on Pod TV, and I showed one of my cousins, and the cousin that's visiting is a ball of energy. So the show that is on Saturdays is two guys. And I can't remember if they're single or not, but in the middle of the show, as I'm showing the family and what's going on. My cousin Deb, so I guess technically that's my second or third cousin. She yells out, she says, "I just got one question: are they single?" So she tried to get hooked up into my podcasting family as well. So she was trying to get her flirt on as well. So that was just a funny moment. I thought you would enjoy that as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into these hot topics. So over the weekend, there was a claimed assassination attempt on convicted felon President Trump, ex-President Trump. A lot of people are questioning the legitimacy of the actual shooting and saying that it looks staged, which it does look a little suspect, and it does look staged, and things like that, because it's just like, the story is not, like gelling together and, things like that or whatever. But, to give a little context and a little background, Trump has always been a strong supporter of violence. He has, invoked his base to, ensue violence upon innocent people. For example, when he invited Kyle Rittenhouse to the White House after he killed 3 innocent protesters, after his mother, I'm not going to say mother, his mammy drove him from one state to the other to go and kill, talking about he was protecting folks. Who were you protecting? You're not law enforcement. You have, you were not, what do you call it? It was not martial law. So the civil people were not enlisted to become, law officers of the court or anything like that. So who were you protecting? No, you had a malicious thought that you were going to go and you were going to murder people, and he murdered 3 people and got off with killing 3 people. And this is the type of people that Trump, supports and things like that. And he has always, spewed violence and hate. And, for the people that's coming out and saying that people are wrong for saying, Trump deserved whatever. But where were you when he was, making fun of President Biden for stuttering? Where were you when he was making fun of disabled people? Where were you when he was talking about he overturned Roe versus Wade? Y'all stood in solidarity with this man, and it's funny how, the white people always have something to say about black people and black people crimes and things like that or whatever, but you never question Trump and his legitimacy, his 34 felonies and things like that. But you always want to police black people and other minorities who have been victims of the law, some innocent, some not so innocent, but who has felonies, who are struggling to get jobs, who are struggling to get proper housing and things like this. But you want this man to run the whole dang on United States. And it's clearly evident that these white people are going along with all of this foolishness that Trump has going on and things like that. The judge in Florida has dismissed the case against him having classified documents and things like that. They don't even understand what they're doing. Or even if they do understand, they know good and well they're harboring a criminal. And her license and things should be taken away, and she should be disbarred. She should not be a judge and things like that. And it's so funny that I was posting memes and making jokes over the weekend about Trump and different folks saying that he should have been shot and stuff like that or whatever. And how we do in the black community. We're gonna play the dozens, we're gonna talk about you, we're gonna make jokes, we're gonna do all that. But the white women are so quick to come to his defense. But y'all the same white women that put him in office and voted against your own best interest. And then when he overturned Roe versus Wade, because he single-handedly did it, overturned Roe versus Wade with the help of the Supreme Court justices, then y'all want to spew, black women, we need to stand in solidarity with each other. No, we don't need to stand in nothing, because when we told y'all not to vote this man in office, y'all went against the grain and y'all voted this man in office, because needless to say, regardless of what your position is and regardless of what your stance, you still are a direct beneficiary of white supremacy. You're still a direct beneficiary of, the white supremacy politics and the antics. So you supported the BS. So now we're not standing with you. And for them to, come out, enraged about, Donald Trump and things like that, a failed politician, a failed president, a failed businessman, a failed, TV show host, all of these things. But you had nothing to say when the children were shot down in Columbine. You offered prayers. You offered, oh, we're sending our prayers and things like that. You had nothing to say when the other people were shot down in the mass shootings. When that white boy went down to South Carolina and shot those people in the church, y'all were not enraged and y'all were not outraged then. You know what I'm saying? But the hypocrisy is real. And so what we want to do is we want to send a strong message to the Republican Party. We are not in solidarity with you. We do not stand with you. And we are supporting Joe Biden, and we are going to show up in mass numbers. And on the day of voting, y'all are going to be real disappointed because we're going to be in the masses out there voting for Democrats, and we're going to vote y'all asses out of office. And we're going to take Trump down and put his ass in jail where he needs to be. And the judges who are not abiding by the law and giving this man a free pass, we're coming after you lawfully too. You need to be dealt with, and you need to be off the bench. You need to be disbarred. Your license needs to be taken away because it's clearly evident that this man is operating as if he is above the law, and nobody is above the law. So whatever happens to him at this point, he deserves whatever happens to him. And we as the American people need to hold all of them accountable. So at some point, can you go ahead and run the video after you say what you have to say so we can get
I can definitely run the video, and I was actually going to run another video of something that I was theorized that was going to happen, and it looks like it is happening. And in that case, I'm glad of a city that I was associated with, and all along those lines. Before I get to that video, I will bring up the one that you were talking about, and we can discuss how much of this was staged or not staged, and all along those lines. I am still trying to figure out, and you'll hear what I'm talking about, as we play the video. I'm sorry, Dr. Anthony. I've been fortunate enough. I've got friends of mine that have been shot at and have been part of criminal enterprises and along those lines. I've been fortunate enough to stay out of that circle and everything. But if I'm shot at, or if I've even shot near and everything, I don't think that I'm going to be worrying about some damn sneakers. And I'm sorry if I have to be that blunt about the language and everything. This man actually wanted the Secret Service to take a break in order to get his sneakers. And you will hear this in the background because apparently while he's dressed in his suit, he also had his shoes on. And I'm saying they were sneakers. Maybe they were regular shoes. But whatever kind of shoes they were, I could care less. I'm not trying to get some sneakers if I've been shot at. I'm
exactly, and that's the thing. It's a lot of stuff that's not even adding up, and you can hear him saying, "Wait, what are you waiting for? Somebody is shooting at you. If anybody is shooting," the thing about it is, the thing about it is, it's so funny that none of the people ran. I did hear screaming in the background, but none of the people ran. But before I get into my dissect of the video, let's go ahead and watch the video.
We'll play the video, and they will hear what I'm talking about because he literally
I heard
they literally asked for the sneakers, and that I never could figure out because he literally asked them to stop in order to get some damn sneakers.
No, he did because he said, "Wait, my shoes."
Right, exactly. Let's check it out.
Take a look at what happened.
Moving his spear. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready.
Move. Up. Move. Go.
Up. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Moving to the spear.
Get ready.
We ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're
Let's
clear.
move. Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold up. You're headed. Bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus.
Let me get my shoes.
Watch out.
Like I said, you said it not once, but did it twice to get his shoes and everything. And like I
Right.
said, if I try that, that's the last thing I'm thinking about is some damn shoes. But that's just me.
So the thing about it is, it's a lot of stuff that's not adding up. It's a lot of inconsistencies with what's going on. So if there was a bullet that came through, you're trying to say that another person was shot, which I mean, where was the person standing? Where was the person sitting? There was a woman who was filming right behind Donald Trump. She didn't even budge. She didn't even flinch. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody is saying that this is a stage, it's a political stunt, but it can be whatever it is. We, the Black community, has already committed to Joe Biden, and we are standing with Joe. We're riding with Joe. We are going to vote Democrat when it comes time to, vote in that election, because the Republicans are already showing their hand. They're already showing what they're going to do, and things like that or whatever. And he's trying to get sympathy votes. I have no sympathy for you, man, because you have spewed hate, you have spewed violence against Black people, you have spewed all this stuff. Even when he was talking about Black Lives Matter, he called it a cult. You know what I'm saying? He's saying derogatory things about Black Lives Matter, and you expect me to stand with something like that? No, hell no. I'm not standing with anything. And like I said before in a video that I posted on my Facebook channel, that if I found out that anybody who stood with Trump, and you end up being shot down in the streets and things like that, I'm not marching for you, I'm not praying for you, and I'm not damn sure not donating to you, because you got what you deserve, because you took your vote and you voted against your own best interest. These people don't give two rats asses about your ass, and you're gonna sit there and try to align yourself and be in tandem with this person when he has clearly shown you that even before that we were born, the Department of Justice was suing his ass because he did not want Black people in his properties. I have a friend that's going to Vegas who's staying in the Trump Hotel, and I'm just like, that's a damn slap in the damn face. How the hell you gonna stay in a damn Trump hotel? You know what I'm saying? You're a Black man, and you're supporting this dude. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of the things that's leading up to all of this, it just doesn't make sense. And then it's like, it's like the blood. Like, if you had blood would be dripping down. If you were bleeding, blood would be dripping down your face, your ear, onto your clothes. There was no blood. There was no drip. So, so you mean to tell me that, you got shot, or you got cut, or you got grazed by a bullet, and on your face, on your ear, something is suspect, because anytime any part of your flesh is bleeding, you have to apply pressure. There was no pressure there for you to stop the bleeding. It's just, stuck on the side of your face. And when we saw you go down, you actually threw your hand up before the bullets even started shooting, before the guy even started shooting. So, it's clear that, something is going on, and y'all trying to stage sort of like a sensitive coup, like somebody was actually trying to kill you. But I'm glad President Biden is actually doing an independent investigation or whatever, because the Secret Service is now trying to blame the local police, the local order of the police, saying that they didn't do what they supposed to do. But at the same time, you're the Secret Service. Y'all supposed to sweep the area. Y'all supposed to have people in every vantage point possible. You know what I'm saying? So it just, all of it seems just really, really suspect when it comes to this whole notion of somebody trying to assassinate Donald Trump and things like that or whatever. And then, Black people with the jokes and stuff, we coming with the jokes. With the jokes and things like that, but y'all want to hold innocent people accountable because they're voicing the way that they feel and things like that. But you're not holding this man accountable, who has 34 felonies, who has been convicted of rape, who has been, well, not, he hasn't been convicted of rape, but he was in a trial with rape with a child, and the file is sealed for 16 years, the Epstein file. So you want to put all your support behind this man who has put another sex offender on the Supreme Court, who is Brett Kavanaugh, because he sexually assaulted somebody when they were younger. And it's real funny to me how these white people don't come out of the woodworks and say anything about their kind or whatever, but they were quick to come out and say some stuff about Diddy. For example, Lady Gaga made a reference to the attorneys, saying that she had a problem with being represented by the same attorneys that Diddy is represented by, but you never said anything about you having a problem with Donald Trump being president of the United States. You never said anything about Donald Trump. I mean, you having a problem with Brett Kavanaugh sitting on the Supreme Court justice, and they both sexually assaulted women. So my thing is, I'm sorry. So my thing is, there go the pot calling the kettle black. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I tell black people all the time, it ain't nowhere in hell I'm not going to support a black brother. I don't care if they wrong, right, indifferent, whatever. Free Bill Cosby, like I said, and free fucking R. Kelly, like I said. I'm going to stand by them. You know, if these white folks can stand in solidarity with Donald Trump and Brett Kavanaugh, I can stand in solidarity with R. Kelly and other people who I think were wrongly convicted. Am I saying that R. Kelly is innocent? No, I'm not saying he's innocent. But I'm saying that if he's going to go down, all the rest of the people that were in that whole ring with him should have went down as well. So no, I feel that he was wrongly convicted. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's real funny how, you know, white women come to, you know, saying that, oh, I feel uncomfortable about this, and but you ain't feel uncomfortable about the other shit. You ain't feel uncomfortable about him, you know, making fun of President Biden. You didn't feel uncomfortable about him. This is Donald Trump. You didn't feel uncomfortable about him directly making fun of a disabled reporter. But you had the audacity to say that you felt uncomfortable about, you know, the law firm representing Diddy and you at the same time, and they dropped Diddy. Hypocrisy. The hypocrisy.
There's some serious hypocrisy, but one thing that I would say that I was glad to see, and I was thinking that this was going to take place because, like I said, it was many moons ago, because got a little years on you, not many years, but a little years on you and everything. So I remember going to school in the 80s and going to school in Milwaukee. And I always thought of Milwaukee as a relatively progressive city. Yeah, it might have had some divides in the way that it was segregated. And we know that cities, even in the 80s, can be segregated, because I definitely remember that there was like a kind of part of the community. I think that might have been the northern part near like Sheboygan and stuff, that was very much ethnically white, so like Polish and German and stuff like that. I think that if I went to the east, it was very much Latin American population. If I went to the west, I think that was mostly our population, and all along those lines. And it definitely had a very hip culture and everything, including a hip music society. There was even like a Park Avenue type club there and everything. So I've always remembered Milwaukee as being relatively progressive, and it's definitely birthed some progressive people like Howard Fuller and even Doc Rivers, who was in school with me and everything, took some stances, including with Black Lives Matter, and showed that he had learned some political chops when he was there as well, and even some of the Happy Days actors also. But I was glad to see this other video that I'm going to bring up, because they're not just coming into this city that I thought was progressive. And yes, they're having the Republican convention there. I think the Democrats will be in Chicago, but they're coming there and they're letting them know that they're not all that welcome when they come to town as well, because apparently today being the first day of the conventions, there have already been protests against the RNC. So let's check this out.
And it wasn't until this past Friday that they were really given permission to kind of walk through the city. In fact, if we can come a little closer, guys, to this march, I'm going to let you kind of go up and let the camera kind of go along the line. And you can see all the different kind of takes that we have here. Basically, one last final point, the big question of the weekend: do people feel safe being here? Everyone we talked to said they feel relatively safe. They know this is risky, but to them, this is easily worth it.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more. September.
Sorry about that. But yeah, that was just showing that they were definitely not being greeted. There were definitely some protest groups. I know that if I was still in school, I probably would have been part of some of those protest groups. But I do remember that we didn't forget that one of the early Black Lives Matters protests was actually in Milwaukee, because I've talked to you about this show before, because everybody thinks of George Floyd and they think of definitely a Trayvon Martin and a number of other more recent cases, including the young woman whose name is slipping me right now and everything. But in the 80s was the Ernest Lacey or Ernie Lacey case, and that was another case of a cop that did a mistaken shooting, and that was way back in the early 80s, and I was part of the protest that took place in that. So like that's why I said that even as a member of Amnesty International and some of the Black student associations, that I do know that we were protesting even in the 80s. So when the Republicans picked Milwaukee, I was actually surprised that they picked that city, because, and I know why they picked it, because Wisconsin is a swing state and everything, but I was actually surprised because I knew that they were going to run into what they've already run into, which is protests even on day one and all along those lines. And I think that that's just the beginning. I think they're going to run into some more protests, but they've already run into some in this first day of protests. And some of it has to do, as you saw that sign, with immigration. I'm sure some of it would have to do with law and order and a number of other issues that the Republicans are putting out there as part of their platform. But I was already aware that there were going to be some protests coming out of the Midwest, and particularly out of Milwaukee.
Well, the thing about it too, Mark, I was about to call you Joe Biden. The thing about it too, Mark, is the media is trying to downplay the pushback against the Republicans. That's why I'm very confident in our ability to control the Senate, the House of Congress, and the presidency, because you have a lot of people out there protesting against what the GOP is spewing and things like that. And what we have on our side as Democrats, we have the young people, we have the students, and they're pushing back against the GOP plan of Project 2025, which Donald Trump is trying to push away from. And now they're saying that is Agenda 47, which that's just a remake of Project 2025 and things like that. And then they also have the 180-day plan that they're planning to enact on day one and things like that. But what they fail to realize is we have the boots on the ground, we have the common people and things like that, and we outnumber them. That's what they fail to realize. And people are finally starting to wake up and see what the Republican Party is all about and see what those Republicans are all about, because they lied about, their position and their stance to get in office. And then when they got in office, for example, Roe versus Wade, they voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. So they lied about that. You know what I'm saying? And then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And they have, and what the regular people fail to realize is they have shadow campaigns behind the scenes that, whenever the Republicans want something shut down, they pantsy up to the Supreme Court justices who lead, the conservative party or whatever. They give them, extensive gifts. For example, Clarence Thomas and his wife and things like that. And they vote in the way that they want to vote. And so this is what we were trying to explain to the people in the election with Hillary Clinton, that it's not about Hillary, it's about what's at stake in this election. And they didn't understand that we were going to have 3 Supreme Court justice seats available that we needed to fill, that we could have gotten the people that we wanted on the Supreme Court. Now he got younger people who are in their 40s, early 40s, late 50s or whatever, who's going to be there for life, who's going to control the law of the land. And a lot of people don't understand that the Supreme Court is the final rule. That is the law. That is the justice. And so we were trying to make them understand that they needed to vote in the election. They needed to vote for Hillary, but they put that Green Party candidate in there so that they could split up the votes. And they did exactly what they wanted to do. They paid her and they split up the dang on votes. And we lost the election to Donald Trump because they split up the dang on votes. But we're not allowing, as Democrats, we're not allowing people to come in and, cause division between the Democrats and those saying that we have lost the election to Donald Trump. You need to go. You need to retire. We need to vote you out because we have not lost the election to Donald Trump. It's you who are faltering. It's you that don't have no faith in the American people. And we, as the American people, we are pushing back and we are telling you that we are not standing with Donald Trump. We're not voting for Donald Trump. We're not supporting the GOP in their lies and, the things like that or whatever. We're not doing any of that stuff. But, they need to be gone. And as far as mainstream media is putting out a propaganda that we're not standing with the Democratic Party. That's a lie, and it's been a lie since day one. We are standing with the Democratic Party. We have not faltered. And for the people that they're saying don't know who they're voting for, that's a lie. We know who we're voting for. We have known we were voting Democratic and we were voting for Joe Biden since before now. You know what I'm saying? And we're
definitely not doing that and everything. I did have a question for you because it came out today, and apparently, speaking of people that can flip the script on who they are, because we do know we've had some Democrats that have switched to the Republican Party, but apparently we now know who Trump's VP is going to be. It's going to be this guy named J.D. Vance, and apparently there was a time that J.D. Vance was a never Trump guy, so apparently he has done one of those people that used to be arguing all the time against Trump, but now he is in Trump's back pocket and all along those lines. So I just wanted your thoughts, because I wish I was a betting man, because I actually had been asked earlier today on one of our other shows here on Pod TV who I thought the vice president would be, and I picked J.D. Vance as I thought he would go and get and everything. Unfortunately, I didn't put any money down. Otherwise, I may be having an extra $100 or so because I was already hearing speculations that he was going to be the person, and that's who I went out there and put out there in public media. You can even go back and watch the earlier edition of World Edition when I actually said that that's who I thought he was going to pick. So, and apparently he made that 180-degree turn because he used to be one of his fiercest critics, and now he is a bulldog fighting for him and everything. So I was just wondering your thoughts, and if you had done any conversation or thoughts around who this man is and who he's about.
Well, the thing about it is, I really don't know anything about JD Vance, but you know, the FBI, Facebook FBI is going to be on top of it. So we will have some commentary and we will have some insight on who this man is, what he believes in, what his policies are, and things like that. As far as him being a Trump supporter, you know, like I said, they're all Trump bitches because they have no backbone and they're not standing up to Trump. You allowing a failed businessman, a failed politician to come in and basically run everything and tell you who have the experience, who has the know-how and things like that, what you should and should not be doing, and you're allowing him to come in to disrupt the American democracy. But see, people don't understand that shit stank until shit stank, until it start happening to them and things like that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So when they start being affected by the policies, then it's going to be a problem and things like that or whatever. But see, they're not being affected by the policies because you know what the Supreme Court has done and this other judge has done is basically send a clear message to these white Republicans that, you know, whatever you do, we're not going to hold you accountable. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to the American people that we vote and we hold them accountable. So in November, when we vote, we are going to be holding these people accountable. And like I said, the Democrats need to hold steady and stand with Joe Biden, which we are doing, and things like that. You have, you know, some questionable Democrats, and you need to kick rocks and jump your ass off the Democratic ship because we're not going to support you. We're not going to force you back in office.
No, and that's a
you know
good
what
point.
I'm saying? But you know, like I said, all of these white men are over there being Trump bitch because you have no backbone and things like that or whatever. And see, the white people, you know, they feel like, you know, Trump policies are only going to be there to hurt black people, minorities, and you know, things like that. They don't think that it's going to affect them. But see, you know, people don't understand that they're going to fuck around and find out, like Trump did yesterday. He fucked around and found out that one of his own turned against him or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they going to fuck around and find out, you know, when the policies start hitting them, and they don't understand that, you know, it's more of them that are on government programs such as welfare, TANF, and housing and things like that than it is black people, because we've always had to make a way. We've always had to do what we had to do to, you know, survive and things like that or whatever. So a lot of us did not grow up in housing projects. A lot of us did not grow up on housing. A lot of us did not grow up in food stamps and things like that or whatever. I can attest to that. I didn't grow up with it, you know.
No, I didn't go about it either and everything. But on that same line, I was having this conversation about our lieutenant governor, who is definitely a person that falls in somewhat in that Uncle Tom category and all along those lines, Mark Robinson and everything. But I've been watching some of his commercials, and he's bragging about the fact that he is one of several kids that was raised by his mother, who was a widow, and she had to raise these kids to live on strong moral values and all along those lines and everything. And something that I was telling another friend of mine and everything that has been surprising is that he comes from a relatively big family, and we do know that there can be bickering in families, but I have yet to see any of his siblings here in North Carolina campaigning for him. So that tells me something already right there, the fact that your own siblings are not coming out in support of you and all along those lines. And maybe they'll fool me and maybe they'll come out later, but I know that I have not seen a commercial yet with one of Mark Robinson's siblings that have come in there saying, you know, I am so-and-so's brother or I'm so-and-so's sisters and I fully back this candidate. I've yet to see that and everything, which raises some doubt in my mind as to how much his family is actually supporting him and all along those lines. But I just wonder your thoughts around how they are trying to position themselves in this notion of we are a party of family and a party for family and all along those lines, because that is definitely what Mark Robinson is trying to press, even though he's a Holocaust denier, and he's definitely done some other things even around women's rights and around other issues that cause it to be somewhat problematic. But I was just wondering your thoughts around how they're trying, and he's not the only one. There's a number of candidates that are trying to push this notion that they are family first.
Oh, of course. You know, the thing about it is they are family first. I will give them that. They are family first. They're just not your family first. They're their family first. You know what I'm saying? They're white people family first. They're not minority family first. They're not black family first. They're not Asian family first. They're not any immigrant family first. Because if they were family first, how can you be family first and you support a man who took children at the border from their parents and put them in cages? So how can you say you're family first? And for him, you know, the black guy you're referencing or whatever, you know, he's spewing things of, you know, hate towards, you know, like women, especially black women in the black community, thinking that he's going to get kudos and, you know, points and things like that. You know, go ahead and spew what you want. But like I said, you know, you better ask questions to that other black man that was out there doing what he was doing and got arrested, and Trump left his ass in jail and he didn't have the money to get out. You know, when he was out there doing all that BS, you know, against, you know, people and things like that or whatever, standing up for Trump. Trump didn't even send nobody to help his ass. You know, so continue to do what you do, but you're going to fuck around and find out too. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is, you know, I've never been a step and fetch, and I never will be a step and fetch and things like that or whatever. I would never go against the grain to say that, you know, I'm in line and I'm aching to, you know, any white person and things like that. And I'm not racist. I'm just real. You know, I dislike people based off of how they treat me and my interactions with them, not because of their color. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, at the end of the day, I am a black woman. I am a black female. I come from a black mother. I come from a black family. I'm going to stand with my own, because we have already seen, and history has proven to us, that y'all stand with y'all own. Y'all vote against y'all own best interest. And, you know, a study needs to be done. They need to do a documentary of the, you know, how hateful white women are and how they're breeding all these mass murderers and things like that or whatever, because the study has not been done. Because a lot of the mass murderers come from white women who has basically traumatized them as children, you know, and so we don't even look at that. But, you know, they always want to put them on a pedestal as if they're, you know, greater than and they're better. And, you know, we supposed to have an inferiority complex to white women. No, that's not happening. Not in this day and age. We never had an inferiority complex to white women. They have always been jealous of us, even when it goes back to, you know, like slavery and things like that or whatever. When black women had to wear the tijuans on top of their head, it was because of white women, because white women were hateful, that their men were looking at black women and their beauty, so they didn't like that, you know. So they made it a law that black women could not be in public and show their hair, especially, you know, Creole, mulatto, and you know, light-skinned black women and things like that or whatever. We had to cover up fully because we were taking them in like we doing now, you know, taking their men and things like that or whatever. But, you know, like I said, a documentary needs to be had, and it needs to take place, because if we look at things historically, white women has always been evil. They have always been, you know, the ones that, you know, dealt the most force when it came to, you know, like dealing pain with black women, men and black women and, you know, black children and things like that. They purposely killed black children and nothing was done with it. And there was a law that was enacted and put on the books because white women were killing black women and black children at a record number, that they had to put a law to protect their asses because they were doing it in record numbers. So, you know, my thing is, you know, we need to look at these evil bitches and see, you know, exactly where they come from, what makes them fucking tick. You know what I'm saying? Since they want to dissect everything about black women and black people and things like that or whatever, and about what makes us tick, we need to look at their evil asses and see what makes them tick, because they have to understand, back in the day when these feminist white women came about, they were not fighting for black women. They were fighting for white women. You know, that's why, what's her name? Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman? That's why her speech was so infamous. Ain't I a woman? You know, and it really didn't, you know, gain popularity until a white woman took over her words and changed the words of Ain't I a Woman to, you know, fit and appease her and her narrative and things like that or whatever. So we really need to dig deeper and dive deeper and delve into, you know, the mindset of these white women, because they are the masterminds and they're the criminalistic ones who are sadistic and things like that. You know, you may not agree with my stance and my position, but, you know, history speaks for itself. And we can see
along those same lines and everything.
Right now.
Yep. And along those same lines, because there have been some fascinating conversations in that regards and all along those lines. I just had a question trying to pivot into the conversation slightly. It's not a total pivot and everything, but there was a brother down in Atlanta, of all places, that apparently went viral, because we do know that one of the major issues that folks have been concerned about is the nature of the homeless situation. And there's a brother that went viral because he posted online that he needed a place to stay, and apparently over 1,000 women offered to help him. So definitely it was, I guess, in some ways very noble of these women. But then some people might be wondering, what are they getting into if they are going to just let this man come into their home, depending and not even knowing all of his history, but him saying that he needed a place to stay. So I just wonder, are there some people that maybe are being too gullible? Because that's a whole lot of women to be offering to help this brother that said he needed a place to stay. And apparently it went very viral, and a bunch of women are like, come on over to my house, come on over to my house, and everything.
I mean, I don't think it's being gullible, because by nature we have always protected Black men. And if we look at it historically, when we go back to slavery times, and I always revert everything back to slavery, how we started protecting Black men, back then, when they were denied food, when they were denied water, Black women were the ones that kept them alive by giving them food and giving them water. So we, as as a nurturer that we are naturally prone to offer help and assistance to Black men. So if we're gonna call this gullible, then when we're marching out in the streets when they get shot down, then we're gullible in that capacity as well. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's gullibility or whatever. I just think it's just within our nature of just wanting to help this man get into a better position. I mean, because I've helped people before, and I've wanted to help people get into better positions. And I'm not saying that helping everybody is always a plus or whatever, because it's not. It can backfire on you, but everybody is not out to get you or whatever. But if this man is genuinely asking for help, apparently he must need help. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see anything wrong with it. I just said that. And run those background checks and see what's going on before you bring him into your house and things like that or whatever. But I think that's just our instinct, our nurturer, the nurturer that's inside of us that want to help. And that's what and that's what makes it so disheartening and so hurtful when I hear Black men out here talking about you're supporting white supremacy and you're supporting Trump and you're supporting MAGA and things like that or whatever, when these people don't give two rats asses about you and don't give a damn. When they talk about law and order, they're talking about killing y'all, killing us in the streets, and the people are not held accountable. That's what they're talking about. And it hurts my heart, because we stand 10 toes down when it comes to the protection of Black men, Black children, Black girls, and Black boys, and things like that. We're out there marching, we're out there protesting and things like that. And you come along and say that you stand in solidarity and you stand in tandem with Trump because you want that likeness or whatever. That's why I made in my video that you could not possibly be with a strong Black woman talking about you stand for Trump and you're gonna vote for Trump and things like that or whatever. So like I said, before,
I agree.
You make your choice. Now, if you go in that ballot box and you vote for that man, know that you made your bed hard. And we Black women are not standing with your ass. So just know that, because we are going to pull up your Facebook records. We're going to pull up your Instagram records. We're going to have Facebook FBI out on the job to see what you have done and things like that or whatever to before we start supporting you. Ask Botham Jean, the one that got shot down by that white woman in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? And their family didn't get no compensation. Ask that young African guy who got shot down, who got stabbed in Miami and killed by that white woman. And then, he talking about Black women can't do this for him and Black women can't do that for him. But you got killed by your oppressor. You got killed by your colonizer. And then the family wanted us to stand in solidarity with you. We ain't standing in solidarity with you. We gonna let y'all make it, because he had already made clear that, Black women could not do nothing for him. So he chose his killer. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, my thing is to the Black men, please understand and make sure, when you say things like this, that you are making your bed and you have to lie in it and things like that or whatever. Because even with Jonathan Majors, I so hate that Megan Good started dating him, because my thing is, you should have left his ass out there on a goddamn island. You should have left his ass feel the pain, let his ass feel the pain of what he had done by, putting himself in the position of dating that white woman, and she started instigating the stuff, and, he pushed her, and then he got contracts and deals and things taken away, because of her. But, you should have allowed him to feel the brunt end of, all of that. I mean, I understand you get where you're coming from. You want to date, you want to do all that, but no, you should have let his ass suffer. And that's what we're doing. From here on out, we're going to let their asses suffer.
I understand what you're saying and everything. I did see another Instagram post. Unfortunately, it disappeared on me, and I can't pull it up right now and everything. But There are some things that are out there in terms of issues, and one of those issues is, and I know I could stand to lose a few pounds, is that we have a lot of people that are not doing good in their diet and in their weight and everything. And there was actually a picture of a store, and the store actually was having people come up, and they were both black and white, and it was literally there was displaying their weight for all to see. That sounded to me that is almost like a form of bullying and a form of shaming. So I'm not sure, and I didn't see where the store was located at, but that to me was just scary when I saw that. And literally, you could see people going up there. It was both I saw, I think, two black ladies that went up there, and they actually had some interesting figures, like 243 something, and all along those lines. But it literally showed from the store the amount that your weight was and everything. So I'm going like, I think it was out in California, but I'm going like, that's a little bit shocking, and kind of that bullying that can go on in our society. So I know that we have an issue with people that eat fast food and eat too much starch and eat things that are not good for our diet, but that seems almost like a form of victim shaming. But I just wanted your thoughts on this, where they have this big weight thing, and I guess people were going up to it because they wanted to know what their weight was, but it was also in the open public, so anybody could see what their weight was. It was like, kind of almost reminded me of the old circuses when you would see people guessing their weight, and then the weight would be coming out there and everything. But I just wanted your take on that.
I mean, I try not to discuss people weight because, we all have battle with, dealing with weight and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know what you need to do in order to, manage your weight and things like that. Like I still eat out pretty much every day or whatever, but, I try to push back from the table, and I try to eat less to, like shrink my stomach and, things like I don't have people sympathy for, folks, because at the end of the day, you're grown. You control your eating habits. You control, pretty much everything or whatever, so when you're going through things that you can control, I really don't have no sympathy for you. That's just like, a person who smokes and get cancer or whatever, who gets, lung cancer and things like that. They told you before you started smoking that this was a possibility. So now I'm supposed to feel sorry and donate to you because you have lung cancer now? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I don't want to sound heartless and cruel, but that's just the reality of it. You knew a lot of things before you started doing this stuff. Like, with diabetes, the doctor's going to tell you that, hey, you're becoming pre-diabetic, you need to start doing this, you need to make lifestyle changes, you need to start doing XYZ. And so if you ignore the doctor and you still do what you're doing or whatever, then it's nobody's fault but your own. And I understand people do have genetic problems where weight is a problem or whatever. I'm not talking about y'all people. I'm talking about the other people that are just out there just binge eating, just eating for no reason, just sitting up eating and doing this, and you don't think anything is going to happen, things like that or whatever. Those are the people that I'm talking about. So I'm just like to each his own. It is what it is. I'm not body shaming, I'm not fat shaming, I'm not doing anything, but at the end of the day, when you go out there and you step on a public scale for the whole world to see, then you're asking to be scrutinized. You're asking for the public's opinion. So you can't get mad when a person says, X, Y, and Z, or, this, that, and the other about you. You can't get upset about that because that's what you opted to do. That's just like, when I make a post on Facebook, I can't get upset because somebody commented on Facebook. All I can do is just accept what they said, or I can respond because I put it on Facebook. That's a worldwide platform. So I'm looking for pushback, comeback, or whatever. So in the same capacity, same token, when you do stuff like that, people are gonna comment and people are gonna say things. So I mean, it's left up to you whether you want to deal with that scrutiny or not. Is it you decide to put it out there or you don't decide to put it out there. But that's at the end of the day, you're grown and you ultimately control what you consume. You ultimately control what you put in your body. You ultimately control what you do, and things like that or whatever. It's nobody's fault but your own because you are a grown adult and you made your decision. So you made your bed, so you have to lie in it. Bottom line, period.
You would think that and everything. And if you make your bed, even if you make your bed in a sporting event, you need to lay in that as well. Because the other thing that I saw before Trump got assassinated was there was a semifinal match between, I believe it was Uruguay and Colombia, and apparently the fans got a little bit, the players got a little bit upset because the fans and some of their family members were in the stand. So they bum rushed the stands and basically had a brawl that was actually in Charlotte and everything. So I don't know if you heard about that and your thoughts around this, because it seems like a lot of people are quick to temper.
Honestly, I don't care what them white folks do. I'm just gonna be real with you. You know what I'm saying? They're just another bunch of white folks, you know, because they always want to say, you know, when we anger and things like that, they want to call us animals, they want to call us barbaric, they want to call us this, they want to call us that. So, you know, honestly, I really don't care what they do. They can do whatever the hell they want to do, because you know, a lot of times the African players that are playing over there are, you know, subjected to, you know, like extreme racism and extreme prejudice and things like that or whatever. So whatever the hell they do, whatever the hell they got going on, I really don't care, to be honest with you. It's what they do. They're harming each other. So who gives a rat's ass? I don't.
You know, they're over there harming each other and causing trouble for each other and all along those lines. So that's very much the case and everything. I know the other thing that a lot of people have been talking about, I know it's been impacting y'all there in DC. We've been definitely dealing with it here. But what advice would you give to folks that are fighting this thing called a heat wave?
Stay inside. They better stay. You know, if you're out there dealing with the heat and things like that, you need to stay inside. And if you have to go out, make sure you stay hydrated and things like that. I have to go out in the morning time. It's not as hot, you know, but it does get that way, you know, throughout the day. So at, you know, midday when I'm headed home and I'm stopping for lunch, you know, I try to make sure, you know, I have like some type of water and I stay hydrated and things like that. So, you know, quite naturally, you know, the Republicans don't believe in global warming and things like that or whatever. So, you know, the earth is changing, it's heating up and, you know, things like that. So we're dealing with the brunt end of, you know, carelessness and, you know, not listening to science and listening to dumb folks like Donald Trump and things like that, who are spewing, you know, idiotic, you know, theories and conspiracy theories and, you know, things like that. So, you know, my best advice is, if you have to be out, make sure that you have, you know, a lot of water with you. Make sure that you stay hydrated. Make sure you're in the shade. And if you have to be in your car, make sure your AC is running. And if your AC is not running, make sure your windows are down. Make sure if you have pets, which I don't give two rat's asses about pets, but I mean, you know, some of y'all pet people, make sure those pets are not in the car, you know, with the windows up and things like that. Make sure your children are not in the car, left in the car with the windows rolled up and, you know, things like that or whatever. So make sure, you know, you do your due diligence and check, make sure you're, you know, drinking water and things like that or whatever, because the heat is no joke. And, you know, you have
no joke.
Yeah, you have to take care of your body.
Not only that, but I know you're not a pet person, and I don't have any pets at the moment and everything. Have had them in the past. Definitely have family members and friends with pets and everything. But I did see an incident. Actually, ironically, it was at an apartment that used to belong to somebody that both you and I know and everything along those lines. But the current tenant of that particular apartment has a dog. I think it's like a bulldog. And when I was coming back yesterday, and the temperature was in the high 90s or maybe even the high 80s, low 90s, but it was still hot because it was humidity. And that individual that had moved into that particular apartment had their dog outside, and best I could see, there was no water, and the dog was panting very heavily. So I know that you're not the biggest pet person, but if you've got pets or you got them, definitely try to take care of them, because to me, that is not taking care of them, is the dog is not having some water or something to supply themselves. And maybe he had company, or maybe he had some reason that he didn't want the dog in the house, but whatever that reason was, I think you need to be responsible enough to take care of the critter and to definitely have the supplies needed if you're going to have it outside. And given it was on the porch, but still it could get impacted by the sun as well, because the sun can get past the porch awning and all along those lines. So I would just urge people to take care of their pets and take care of their children if they've got them on the outside.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, there's another thing that I want to bring up. You know, there's a new Tyler Perry movie out, Divorced in Black, and so on social media, I've been seeing, you know, all the people, you know, saying that the movie is, you know, the same old narrative, just different actors and, you know, things like that or whatever. But my thing is, you know, I don't care if he puts out the same movie 500 times and get 500 different actors. This man has been employing Black actors and things like that, and paying them the most money that they have ever been paid for, you know, situations and being in Hollywood and things like that. So I don't care what kind of movie he puts out. He is doing his due diligence by paying these Black people and things like that, and giving a lot of Black actors opportunities that they would not have previously had if they were going straight in Hollywood. And, you know, and even if they did get an opportunity in Hollywood, they're getting lowballed by, you know, Hollywood execs. You know, Taraji talked about how, you know, she only made what, $75,000 for Benjamin Buttons, and she had a major role in Benjamin Buttons, but they paid Brad Pitt, you know, how many millions and things like that for the same movie. So, you know, y'all can say what y'all want to say about Tyler Perry and his movies. If you don't like him, don't watch him. But, you know, for the rest of us, you know, I'm going to support this man because he's supporting the Black community and he's doing great things for Black actors and the Black community and things like that or whatever. And if you have a problem with that, then, you know, reach out and suggest some things to him. Suggest some things that you would like to see. Suggest some things that you want to see in these type of movies. But you have to also understand that when he writes movies about trauma, people are actually going through this trauma. People are actually going through, these are lived experiences for some people. You may not have lived it. Your partner may not have lived it, but there are people out there that have these lived experiences. I was a victim of domestic violence once and things like that or whatever. So I can sympathize with, you know, what's going on in the trauma. And, you know, movies like that, they trigger me. I have a problem. I have a hard time watching, but because it's a Black man who is doing Black things and doing great Black things for Black actors and Black people, you know, I'm going to try to support him in all facets and in all ways and things like that or whatever, you know.
That makes sense and everything. But speaking of that, you know, sometimes after people get fame and fortune, sometimes they forget where they came from and everything along those lines. Because there's another Black man that used to be very famous and used to get a lot of love and everything, but apparently he's been given some pushback because apparently, and I remember when he was a total R&B icon, I guess he's still considered an icon and everything, but apparently Brian McKnight is been calling his children, some of his past children, product of sin while he's been favoring his new family, and definitely the wife is not, the ex-wife is not feeling all that great about that. So Julie McKnight is wondering about this because apparently he's been very vocal about his relationship with his adult children on social media, and he's pretty much often said some toxic things about his children from his first marriage, and now he's doubling down and calling his Black children products of sin and evil. So he's definitely saying that I guess that there was the product of sin and evil and all along those lines, and maybe he's favoring some of his newer relationships, including one with, it looks like, a Hispanic lady, Liliana Mendoza, who welcomed her son together back in, looks like they welcomed back in 2023. And everything, but definitely I would not how many kids as you know and all of that, but I wouldn't be definitely trying to downplay where they came from if I was to have any kids, or even if I was to find out that somebody had a kid unbeknownst to me, and all along those lines, because we know that mysterious things have happened that you don't know, and maybe they reveal it much later in life. I don't ever hope that happens to me, but if it was, I wouldn't be trying to downplay it in those kind of capacities and along those kind of lines. But that to me just was catching me off guard, that you would call your kids the product of a negativity when you would hope that they came out of a positive relationship. And on a more positive note, I did see that Deion Sanders, one of his eldest sons, just popped the question, is expecting his first baby. So Jack Hayes, who is a singer, and Deandra Sanders have said yes to each other after Jack Hayes proposed with a diamond ring and all along those lines. So it looks like they're expecting their first child together and all in that space. So it looks like that's something going on, as well as Ashanti's baby shower. So it looks like there's some babies coming out of our community as well and all along those lines. But I was just wondering your take about this notion of belittling your first families.
So the thing about it is the Black community has already spoken to Brian McKnight. We didn't already shut his ass down. We're not supporting his shows. We're not supporting his concerts. We're not supporting any venues that he's performing at. He had to cancel his tour because the Black people bailed on him based off of what he said and his actions toward his Black children and things like that. Because my thing is, you know, these Black men get with these women of other races, and you know they start, you know, dissing and downing Black women. You know, oh, Black women was this and Black women is that. No, we're not nothing. You know, you're the problem. We're not the problem. You're the cause that, you know, a lot of Black women are single mothers. You're the cause that a lot of children are being raised without fathers and things like that. It's you. You're the problem. And so, you know, my thing is with this whole notion of not holding these Black men accountable, you need to hold these Black men accountable, you know, because anytime they want to, you know, go against the grain, the first person that they talk about is, guess who? Black women. You know, anytime a person, a woman out of another race, you know, want to go against the grain and say anything and they want to go viral, guess who they guess who they're addressing? Black women. You know, so my thing is, you know, leave us out of your bullshit, leave us out of your mouth, leave us out of all of that hate that you spewing, because we have nothing to do with that. That's on you. If you have a preference of a woman, that's your preference. Black women did not do anything to you. You know, we can't help it if you're emotionally unstable and, you know, your father walked out on you and you couldn't handle your trauma and things like that. That has nothing to do with us. Your living situation had nothing to do with me. That was between you and your black mama. So if you have a problem, then you have a problem with your black mama. You have a problem with, you know, things that are inside of your household, and you need to deal with your trauma-filled self before you start projecting that trauma onto, you know, like black women and things like that. But I'm going to end it right there because the clock on the wall says that's all. But I want to go back into, you know, a deeper conversation around this. I wasn't trying to bring that up, but you brought it up today. But it's a deeper conversation that needs to be had, and hopefully next Monday we can get around to, you know, discussing, you know, black men and, you know, their hate and disdain for black women, and all of the nonsense that they're spewing about black women just to justify their relationships with other women and, you know, other cultures and things like that or whatever. But, you know, like I said, make sure you click like and share. We're trying to get those YouTube follows up and things like that. We're still doing well overseas, but we're trying to, you know, get the views up here in the States and things like that or whatever. So with that being said, the clock on the wall says that's all. Deuces.
See y'all later.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.